So I'm here with Oz from The Outsiders. Welcome, Oz, to Emerging Proud.
Thanks very much, Katie.
Lovely to see you again. We were just talking about how long it is since we first met, and I think it's about 5 years. And it feels very special actually to be back in Norwich with you, because that's kind of where it all first started.
Yeah.
I don't know if you want to say a bit about that.
I remember that we'd obviously done a little bit of work together when we both worked for different mental health organisations in Norwich, and there was one particular occasion where you came to me for help with someone that you were working with, and we found a really good solution to that. And I think that was the beginning of our time working together. And then when you reached a point where you thought, I'm not happy to continue working in kind of services that I don't really believe in and think that there might be different ways that aren't being explored, I was, I guess, quite honoured that you came to me and just asked for my advice, or for my kind of just asked me to listen to you. And another reason for that meeting was that you were going to get involved in an event that I was running, and part of that was because you wanted to talk about the importance of spiritual emergence and things at that point. So I kind of, as I followed your kind of journey, I've been really proud that I had a small role to play in the early stages of maybe helping you to feel comfortable about taking things in the direction that you have.
A big role, I think, and that's why this is so special to be doing this with you, because I think you created that validation, that safe space that we're wanting to take out into the public, and that you've managed to create, which we're going to talk about a bit about now, which is how we're linking up to bring the mechanism So Me into Emerging Proud Day. Yeah. So I was just explaining to you that last year it became this huge onerous thing that was quite a big thing to manage.
Absolutely.
And when I was looking at a way of kind of creating an event that people could run with throughout the world in as many locations as possible, without it really costing much money, and I just thought, where do I start? And that's where I came across you again and your amazing website, So Me, which is just a brilliant mechanism for kind of creating these, initiating social impact conversations, which is exactly what I was aiming to do. So I really appreciate you coming on board and letting us use that for Emerging Proud Day this year.
No, it's an absolute pleasure, and we've created these The Outsiders is a community interest company, and one of the things that me and my colleague Nick Little are really keen to do is to create an idea, hopefully get funding to pilot it, which we were able to do with So Me, and then give it away for free to the world. That's what we really believe in, and we would rather this was being used than it just sits dormant and doesn't get used. So, and I'll go into a little bit more detail, but we designed it to be as simple as possible to encourage people to sit down and have face-to-face conversations, which I still believe are the most powerful way of getting people to understand each other and what makes us similar, but embrace our differences. I think that's something, and learn from each other, and that's what So Me is
and
for.
like you just said, give us the confidence to kind of be in our own authenticity, which you did for me all those years ago, which is why this is kind of special, because we want to now roll that out. And that's what I loved when we reconnected. You were coming from that place of just wanting to give and wanting to spread this, to enable people, and it's all voluntary. It's all voluntary. We're both doing it voluntarily. It's not about making money, which is so unusual to find these days. So it's amazing.
People don't. When people ask me and Nick about our business model and about growth and stuff, we think about growth as something different to financial growth. Yeah. We think that everybody that uses some of the ideas that we come up with helps us grow, and it's a really different approach, and people kind of don't believe us. That they're like, how are you not making money out of this? And it's like, well, there is a strong belief that you can measure people's kind of wealth in other ways than kind of gross domestic product.
Absolutely, we know that well. Brilliant. So, would you mind just explaining to people a bit about how SoMe works so that they can get a feel for how it might work? If you're thinking of running a SoMe event for Emerging Proud Day, it would be great to just explain a bit about what that entails and to kind of maybe relay some fears about what it takes to organise an event. Because I was really impressed with how simple it is to create such a big impact, actually. I think you've done an amazing job of creating that. Sounds like you had quite an inspiration. You said it came to you one night, was it?
Yeah, we've run events. I've worked with the National Mental Health Campaign Time to Change, which is all about using people's individual experiences of mental health problems to change the stereotypes and stigmas and discrimination that can sometimes kind of unfortunately go hand in hand with that. And I've worked on an international programme called the Human Library, which is very much about face-to-face contact and the importance of that in getting people to kind of be comfortable with things that they were previously uncomfortable with, or that particular concept was sometimes not used in the right way, and it has quite a complicated methodology, even though it's a simple idea. And because it was getting used in those ways, we thought, what other way could we find to get people to connect in a face-to-face way? And we thought, actually, social media, although it doesn't have that kind of face-to-face connection, it has some really good techniques. And we looked at Twitter and thought, people joined the conversation, and it's because it's simple, it's quick, it's easy. So we came up with the concept of SoMe, which is partly short for social media because it uses that, but we want to be really clear that you don't have to have any experience of social media to be involved. It's about facilitating face-to-face conversations.
Yeah.
And it's also the thing that the sort of the second meaning is obviously this is so me.
Yes,
this is me. It's my kind of life and my experience.
Yeah.
So basically, at a SoMe event, is it good to
absolutely. I think it'd be great for people to know exactly what it involves, so that, you know, maybe if you're watching this and thinking, I'd love to get involved with running an Emerging Proud event, I said in your blog that we did last week, that my aim this year is to kind of double the number of locations around the world that are holding these conversations about reframing mental illness as a possible transformation process, which we've spoken about for the last 5 years.
We have indeed.
I think is why we connected. And just to really augment those conversations that are happening around the world and bridge more with the mainstream mental health services, which we're trying to do here in Norwich. So if you're thinking of perhaps maybe holding a little event, they can be as small or as big as you like, just at your local library with 10 people or so is absolutely fine, or a huge event in a major city. Anything's possible, really.
That was
so
the whole point of SoMe, is that some of the other events that we've been involved in have required recruiting a huge number of volunteers, complicated and kind of long-term training and everything, and we thought that it could be simpler than this. So at a SoMe event, there are 3 spaces, and they can be spaces of any size. There's what we call the wall, and on the wall we have volunteers will complete, in advance of the event, they'll complete a profile, and that basically has a speech bubble box at the top where they can talk about the experience that they want to relay in 140 characters or fewer.
While you talk about it.
Absolutely.
So this is an example.
And then there are 9 boxes where people can also put down some of the things about their life, their favourite books, films, holiday destinations, whatever it might be. And part of the reason for that is if people come to the event and your topic for the day is one that they might struggle with, not feel comfortable with, be a bit uncertain about exploring, they can look and find things in common before they start a conversation, and it's based on a kind of hypothesis that says that people will connect over difficult issues if they think that they've got things in common with the person they're talking to. So if your starting point is spirituality and mental health, and people see that and think, oh, I'm not comfortable, then they might not engage. But if they see a few of these profiles on what we call the wall, then they might say, oh, so this person kind of likes Coronation Street, and their favourite film is whatever, and their favourite books are ones that I might have things in common with, or they're from a similar place or a place that I know, then a conversation can start in a more comfortable way about things that aren't the main topic before moving on to that. Okay. And that was why it was designed in that way.
So on the wall, we'd have an array of people's profiles.
Yes. So in advance, a volunteer would just write their profile, that's all they have to do. Then they would be displayed on a wall for people, whether it's a public event or a conference or whatever it might be.
If I can see that, because the light is shining, so I'll hold it a bit closer.
So that's just an example of an event we did about sport and mental health. And I think we had 6 volunteers at that event, and people browsed the wall, chose a profile, took it down, and that was kind of their conversation starter. So when they sat down with a volunteer who's prepared to share their experiences, they had things to start talking about. It wasn't just a scary kind of conversation that starts with, right, so you're here to tell me about your kind of experiences of mental health and spiritual emergence, or whatever it might be. And it's worked really, really successfully to get people talking, and once you've found that common ground, talking about the issue that you're there to share becomes much, much easier. So then we have a space called the chat room, as you find online, and the chat room is where you have face-to-face conversations, and they can be from anywhere from 5 minutes to however long people have got. And then the third space is the message board. So all these are terms that people will be familiar from social media, but they're to facilitate those face-to-face conversations. And the message board is a space where, after the conversation, the person that's kind of chosen a profile, maybe learn from them and talk to them, can then also evaluate that conversation in 140 characters in a little box like that, and that gets added to the message board, so that throughout the day you're gathering information. It both acts as something that encourages people to come along and get involved because they're quite intrigued about what they're reading, but also it's a natural way of evaluating the event and having feedback without having to ask people to fill in a separate evaluation form, which people sometimes struggle with.
Showing the impact. Yeah, so we were talking earlier about, a great thing to do. Last year we had an international report on Emerging Proud Day with how many countries were involved and the outcomes of those discussions. So in this year it would be the outcomes from the message board. So how people have been impacted by the conversations they've been having.
Absolutely, yeah.
Beautiful.
Yeah, and it's just done naturally, and because face-to-face conversations are so powerful, the comments are usually really strong, and people are encouraged to just say what they've learned from it. But because it's only in 140 characters in their own words, it's not like they're having to kind of tick boxes and think it's just worked. So we've probably done kind of about 20 or 30 of these events around the UK, and the impact has always been great, and it's been measured so naturally.
Amazing. I love the simplicity. And I can kind of feel the power of it as we're talking. It's like, this could be really amazing if we could get this out there, and as many people who have emerged proud and are really, really wanting to share this message to transform the paradigm in mental health, which I know we share the passion for as well, in saying, this doesn't mean you're broken for life. This means that you've got a possible opportunity to break through. If you're feeling, maybe if you're in town and you're seeing this event going on and you're feeling a bit low, if you could have the opportunity to go and talk to someone who's maybe been suicidal and been through their own transformation process and is taking part in an event like this and sharing the fact that they're flourishing in life, that would give that person hope. So
that's absolutely the idea. And what I love about it is some of the work I've done, I was saying earlier that I've driven around the UK in a transit van with all sorts of equipment and things, and now I just take this and everything's in there.
Brilliant.
And
love it.
And each event will have, again, we use the language of social media, so a trending topic, and people can choose what that is to be. Recruit volunteers, kind of who have experience of that they're willing to share.
Yeah.
But it's so simple, so straightforward. It just means registering on a website where all the materials are available for free, and obviously kind of sending the feedback back to you, Katie, would be great, because then you can
Absolutely.
kind of that's how you kind of grow the movement, isn't it? So,
totally. So if you're thinking of holding an Emerging Proud SoMe Day event on the 12th of May, all you'll need to do is register on the some.org website.
It's some.org.uk.
Yeah.
It's so.
We'll share the link under this video.
Thank you. That's great. So it's some.org.uk. Okay. You register. All you need to do is agree to follow the terms of use, which is a one-page document, really straightforward, and then you kind of get an account, register, and that enables you to download everything you need to run an event, and that's it.
Amazing. It's all free. This guy's amazing.
It's part of our. We created the Outsiders for the very reason it's a community interest company, so we come up with ideas, that's what we do, and we're the outsiders because I guess we look from the outside at different issues, different social issues, and think, what's a solution for that? Create it, try to get funding to pilot it, and then once that's done, we give it away to the world for free, because that's what we think a social kind of enterprise should be all about.
Totally, absolutely. And like you said, the biggest impact is talking, having face-to-face conversations, and connecting through those shared interests.
Absolutely.
Rather than actually just seeing the topic of something different and something to be frightened of.
Yeah, absolutely. And this is a friendly approach to doing that, and it's an approach that so many people are comfortable talking on social media, but there's a very different thing that happens when we talk face to face. So this uses the things that people are familiar with from social media to facilitate face-to-face interactions, which I think are the things that change the world.
Absolutely. What a place to leave it on, hey?
Indeed.
Thank you, Oz. Thanks so much.
It's been great to kind of reconnect.
Yeah, it's really good to be collaborating on this. And yeah, we're both really hopeful that you're hoping to get involved in Emerging Proud Day 2018.
Brilliant. And we'll be delighted if SoMe is used in different countries around the world.
Absolutely,
and,
yes.
And that it spreads a kind of a way of creating those kind of really important dialogues that we all need to have if things are going to change.
Yeah, absolutely. We can only do that together. So,
absolutely.
Yeah, we're living that through this. So yeah, your SoMe Emerging Proud Day. We'll share the link below, and we'll also bullet point the main things that you need to do to hold an event. Okay?
Brilliant.
See you on the 12th of May. Thank you for joining us all.
It's a pleasure, Katie.
Bye everyone.